Hello folks, Reverend Crystal Cox. We're going to read a little bit today out of Practical Shamanism, a guide for walking between worlds. Okay, and I had opened it to this, so I'm going to read it. That's how it works around here. Okay, respecting others' choice to heal or not heal. All right, one of the hardest things we face may be watching someone choose not to heal or grow. Oftentimes, people dear to our hearts are very wounded. It's hard to truly accept that all healing must be requested and received. You can always offer, but if the person says no, that it's their right, and you must honor it. It's difficult to be detached enough from those you love to honor their right to choose to heal or not to heal. In the grand scheme of things, their illness may contain important life lessons. They may be choosing on a soul level to work through something in a different way. Or they may just not be ready to heal. It's hard for someone who is deeply committed to their own healing to understand how someone else might choose differently. But if you don't honor a person's choice not to heal, you cross ethical lines and take yourself out of a right relationship to the universe. Free choice is one of the fundamental laws of our existence, and you simply don't have the right to interfere with another person's choices around their own healing or lack of. Unrequested healing energy can feel like an energetic attack rather than a compassionate gesture. Now, it used to be that you had to ask people permission to heal them. I don't believe that's true anymore. I believe that we can do healing work on anybody we want at any time, and that it's there for them. And to, yes, honor their choice to heal or not to heal, but it's kind of there for them, the healing energy that you send to them. But yeah, honoring if people's choices right now, it's really really timely, right? Even though it seems like what's going on in society is not about honoring choice, you still have choice of thought. And more powerful than freedom of speech is freedom of thought. Make sure your thoughts are your thoughts and what you really want, because they're creating worlds. Okay, accepting that there are those you can't help. If you work with others, you will quickly realize that there are people who ask for your help, but who you can't assist for one reason or another. Sometimes I get people who want a magical fix to all their problems, but are not willing to make different choices or face their pain. There's nothing I can do to assist someone in that situation. My skill set works best for people who are not in crisis and are reasonably high functioning. I don't have skills or training to be helpful to someone who is seriously mentally ill. In fact, by working with them, I could do more harm than good and distract them from getting more appropriate help. Could be. It's important to recognize what your gifts are and who gains the most from your service. Not everyone will be able to take in what you have to offer, and you won't be able to help everyone. You don't have to work to heal the world single-handedly, nor will you ever be the only person and the only option available to someone. Those walking the path of the healer wear all kinds of guises and are everywhere, whether they know it or not. Spend your time and energy with those you are best suited to help. At the end of the session, if you feel joy and gratitude for having the chance to take part in your client's healing, that's a good match. That's one of my favorite things about healing, is I just feel so high and happy when I'm bringing that energy from source, bringing in the violet flame, bringing in the person's guides and my guides and spirit. I just feel so energized, and I talk really fast when I'm doing it because there's so much information coming so fast. And that's what happens to me when I write too. It's really hard for me to write one thing when I got 60 coming at me at once. All right. Okay, releasing attachment to the outcome. Another aspect to the healer's path is learning to release attachment to the outcome, thereby honoring your client's free choice and experience. On one occasion, I did a journey for my mother regarding a painful situation. When I started the journey, before my guides did any work with me on the issue, they sat me down and gave me a reminder lecture. In the work that followed, I was to play the shamanic practitioner, not my mother's daughter. As a shamanic and healing practitioner, I recognize the value and release of dealing with old pain directly and the beauty of tears. As a daughter, I hate to see my mommy cry. I think this person needs a shaman. So my guides reminded me that I needed to honor the fact that my mother had chosen this healing work, and it was my place to be of service and not try to protect her, thereby depriving her of this healing experience. As a shamanic practitioner, you can't give your client the experience or healing or outcome that you want them to have. You can only give them the gift of your service. If you do your part well, in such a way as not to diminish the experience, their experience, healing, and outcome is completely out of your hands. We may know intellectually that it's important to let go of the outcome, whether the person heals or doesn't heal, but emotionally it's hard to do. It takes practice, introspection, and regular self-reminders. Okay, not taking on other people's energy, which is actually also old earth. Like right now, we don't take on people's energy. To an extent, right? But that's because our mind's focused on it. But when we're doing healing work, we don't go down in frequency. We can only go up. You can't go back down through that slot. So keep that in mind as I read this. I don't know what they're going to say, but I'm going to be ready to tell them that it's just not the way it is. You may have completely mastered the art of shielding yourself in a busy place or from difficult people, but still find that you have tendency to pick up unpleasant energy from your clients. This is because when we do healing work, we move into the other person's energetic field and turn our energetic sensitivity all the way up. This helps us to gather intuitive information about how best to be of service. Many giving, helping people unconsciously hold the erroneous belief that we can carry someone else's energetic burdens for them. After all, if you saw someone carrying heavy boxes, you might carry one for them, especially if they were physically less able to manage the weight. So when we see someone hurting, we may reach out unconsciously and pick up some of that energy from them. Yes. The trouble is, this only harms us and it doesn't help the other person, right? So we're constantly available to them, constantly fixing them, constantly holding them up, and that drains us. Just give, give, give. We have to let them do it on their own. We can't just keep, you just can't. All right. Empathy is a great gift and quality. It's important to be completely present and connected with someone that you're working with. But don't walk away carrying their stuff or feeling their feelings. If someone you love is having a tough time, don't damp your own happiness. The better an emotional space you stay in, the more you will have to give. And also with this is you're the example. Okay? If you go to their level and woe is me and oh, I'm in pain and just complain about your pain and talk about negative and get down with them on their frequency, then that's the reality that you're going to create. So not necessarily absorb their energy, but that's the reality you're focused on. And that happens sometimes with people who have so much going on, right? They need fixed, fixed, fixed. And you fix them. And then you get your high and your happiness from fixing them. But they're not giving anything back or doing anything for themselves, and they're not raising themselves to your frequency level. You're lowering your frequency to be around them. Okay. Final notes on working with others. The people who feel this call to help others have a deep, abiding soul desire to be of service, to help, to heal. The lessons of putting oneself first, healing your own issues before you help others. Receiving and letting go of outcome are contradictory to this intense impulse. When you add in the need to accept others' choices not to heal and the fact that there are people you can't significantly help, it's easy to see why so many healers fail to learn these lessons and burn themselves out. Learning shamanic journeying and energy healing techniques is easy. Learning to apply these techniques for others in a way that honors both you and others is more challenging. The metaphysical community often talks about these lessons in a way that makes them sound simple and obvious. But while you are fundamental, they are far from easy. You can ask your shamanic guide to help you at any time. We all have guides that can assist us. So ask for a shamanic guide to be with you and to do your shamanic healing work and see what happens. Okay, your guides can help you with all of these lessons. Do a shamanic journey and ask them questions like the following. What gets in my way of putting myself first? How can I release attachment to the outcome? What do I need to heal in myself in order to be of service to others? What can you teach me that will help me to receive? How can I avoid taking on other people's energy? Your thoughts. Your thoughts are what creates your emotions. As you walk through these lessons, be gentle with yourself. No one figures them out overnight. Some people do. All right, so let's see. Getting all the pieces back, shadow work, and soul retrieval. Okay, as human beings, we have many sides and aspects. The part of myself that comes out to play with friends are often different from those parts that are expressed at work. My sexual nature is a great example of this. As much as I embrace that aspect of myself, I don't express it with coworkers or clients. There are aspects of our conscious waking selves, as well as more elusive, intuitive aspects that come from deeper, less conscious levels of being. Every part offers gifts and resources as we move through life. The challenge is to get all these aspects working harmoniously so that we apply the most helpful aspect for each situation. We generally grow up learning that certain aspects of ourselves are bad or wrong, rather than receiving guidance in how to apply them correctly. In fact, we find our families and the school system working both covertly and overtly to prevent us from standing up for ourselves. Parents and teachers frequently find it much easier to deal with children who obey, keep quiet, and don't express painful emotions. I just seen this speech online. This kid, this high schooler, I think he was throwing a fit in class, had long hair, whatever. It's like, you can't, this is my future. I know you said something about it just being a job for you, but this is my future. And you can't teach people like that. You have to get to the heart of the kids. You have to get their attention by getting to their heart. I really like that. Over time, we may develop an adversarial relationship with ourselves, sorting aspects of ourselves into categories of good and bad. Our self-esteem becomes dependent on how effectively we can disown certain aspects of ourselves. These aspects become what is generally referred to in the metaphysical community as our shadows. Oh my. Our shadows include all the things about ourselves that we are ashamed of and wish would go away. They can be made of many things: emotions that we have polarized as bad, such as anger or sadness, traits and qualities that we have been made to feel ashamed of, or aspects of our sexuality. To identify your shadow, look at what you judge most harshly in yourself and others. What qualities or behaviors produce disproportionately negative reactions? We frequently condemn our disowned shadows in others. Perhaps you can't stand loud or sloppy people or those who are overweight. Even if you don't embody the quality and have effectively suppressed it in yourself, if you get very upset with people who express that aspect, it is an indicator of your own disowned shadow. Ironically, the more we try to hide, suppress, and control these shadow aspects, the more likely they are to pop up at the worst possible time and in the most inappropriate manner, reinforcing the desire to disown them. This process ties up a huge amount of vitality and life energy and leaves us feeling fragmented and in conflict with ourselves. Oh my. In some cases, disowning an aspect can lead to soul loss. Instead of becoming an aspect that is disowned and disenfranchised, but still a part of you, the part actually leaves, becoming separate and taking away part of your life energy. This often happens when a child feels that an aspect must not be a part of them if they are to survive, physically or emotionally, so they send it away. A way to determine whether a shadow part has actually left completely is if there is a complete absence of an aspect that everyone else seems to have. You can also do a shamanic journey to ask your guides if you have experienced soul loss due to disowned aspects. Healing this kind of experience calls for a soul retrieval, which I discuss in a later section. But more often, we simply strive to ignore and suppress these aspects of ourselves rather than sending them away. When it comes to shadow work, light workers often shy away or approach it like the energetic equivalent of a nasty-tasting medicine that will improve spiritual health. And yet, as I write on the topic, I am reminded of Peter Pan, weeping because he lost his shadow and he cannot get it reattached. After Wendy sews it back, he is once more filled with joy and light and the magic of flight. To carry the analogy a bit further, it was a bit uncomfortable when Wendy sewed the shadow back on, but it was the loss of it not the pricking that made Peter cry. Often we feel that our shadow aspects are big and terrible and unlovable, so it's no wonder that even when we have resolved to do work on integrating our shadow aspect, we feel trepidatious. Yet when it comes to shadow work, it's been my experience that what seems huge and terrible and frightening is much smaller and much more appealing when looked at differently. Picture the shadow of a huge, terrifying monster that turns out to be cast by a kitten moving around under a blanket. Oh, my shadow, my big scary shadow is just a little cute little kitten. The gifts of this work are huge. When you reclaim and reintegrate these disowned aspects, you increase your vitality and life energy. Reintegrated shadow parts invariably improve our sense of wholeness, protecting and strengthening us, allowing us to be more spontaneous and present in daily life. We also deny our strengths and potentials, separating ourselves from the ability to realize our lives as we desire them to be. In this case, these aspects are often things that you admire passionately in others. For example, say you deeply admire the Dalai Lama. When you look at this more closely, you might realize that the admiration is primarily for his ability to stay centered in a difficult situation, or his ability to combine laughter and spirituality. His power and influence may not matter, or may be at the core of what you respond to. Whatever the specific quality, what you most appreciate is the fully realized aspect of some potential within yourself. When we look at qualities and aspects of ourselves as binary, that is present or absent, we talk ourselves out of even trying to develop the absent parts. For any given talent or attribute, there will always be people better at it and worse at it, as comparisons are meaningless. Effort and attention are required to develop a potential quality, and it's fine to choose consciously not to invest that effort. It is unfortunate that many people don't make this sort of choice consciously. When we say we admire something in someone else and that we could never be that thing, we deny a part of ourselves and give ourselves permission not to grow or strive without even owning that choice. I see. A shamanic journey is an excellent way to understand and reclaim our disowned aspects. By dealing with them non-verbally through symbols, myths, and archetypes, we can understand these parts in a manner that would be hard to grasp in our day-to-day experience. While our conscious experience may offer insight and awareness of what aspects we've disowned, shamanic work is a tool for the full integration of those aspects. Furthermore, when using shamanic methods to do this work, you can take along extra help and support in the form of spirit guides and power animals. The first time I journeyed to do shadow work, a group of spirit guides helped me to prepare ritually for this work by dancing around me and painting my face before they led me to a cave to meet my shadow. My shadow aspect. As I went on alone downward into the dark, toward the light of a fire, I knew I carried the power and support of my guides. Myths and stories of the journey into the unknown have always resonated very strongly for me. So when my guides framed the experience as a type of heroic journey, it gave me a context for my fear and apprehension and allowed me to go forward despite these feelings. When I found my shadow aspect waiting for me in my sacred garden, I had the opportunity to interact with that part of myself as though it was a separate being. My disowned shadow looked exactly as I had projected it to be, ugly and scary. In addition, it was angry and hurt. It had come as a part of me with nothing but gifts and good intentions to support me in the world, and I had categorically rejected it, leaving it unloved and unacknowledged. This aspect of myself was carrying some of my childhood wounds and insecurities. But when I got past my own fear and saw things from this other point of view, my shadow self had a great deal to me. When I stopped projecting into this aspect, I saw a little girl not scary at all. My shadow aspect had bound up a lot of my strength, resilience, and ability to protect myself. When I reintegrated all aspects of these characteristics, I suddenly had access to my inherent strengths and power. It was not an easy journey, but one that was most rewarding. We're going to end it there for today. Blessings to you all. Peace and love and all that good stuff. Bye for now. Talk to you when we do.